Jorge Ramos is an anchor at Univision. He's the author of Stranger, The Challenge of a Latino Immigrant in the Trump Era, and he joins us tonight. Jorge, thanks for coming on.
Great to be here.
So I understand why Mexico wants to export its poor to the United States. I'm sure if we could export our poor to Canada, some people would be in favor of it. Not me, but some. But what I don't understand is why America is denounced as racist for not wanting that. Why is it racist to say it's our border, we determine who comes here?
No, you know, first of all, let me just say that I don't speak for the Mexican government. I've been criticizing the Mexican government for decades.
Right.
As a matter of fact, I left Mexico because of censorship, so I don't speak for the Mexican government.
Okay.
Now, what I do understand is when you have President Trump saying that Mexico has to pay for a useless wall, Mexicans simply don't like that. And when you have a politician in June 2015 saying that Mexican immigrants are criminals and drug traffickers and rapists, and that's a racist statement, Mexicans simply don't like that. That's the problem with Donald Trump.
Well,
and that's
I understand
Mexicans are rejecting Donald Trump and his government.
Okay, I understand that. But, I mean, let's be honest. If you were to do an actual measure of racism, Mexico is a far more racist country than the United States. I mean, the last 4 presidents have all been white people who went to Harvard or Yale. It's a totally unequal society. It's not the most unequal in the world. I'm not attacking it. But I'm just saying, for the Mexican government to turn around and say, oh, you're racist.
There's a lot of discrimination in Mexico. I do agree with you. There's a lot of discrimination in Mexico.
I don't want to attack Mexico. I just think a little perspective is in order here. That's a little much for the offspring of conquistadors to be saying, you're racist if you want a border. By the way, when we get there, we deserve affirmative action. Like, what? This is crazy. Can we be honest about it or no?
I think we can be honest about it. And yeah, there's discrimination here in the United States, and there's also discrimination in Mexico. Absolutely. Now, the United States does have the right to a border, a secure border. I have absolutely no problem with that. But I don't think that bringing the military to the border is the right solution. I think it's going to be a monumental waste of time and resources, the same as building this useless wall between both countries. I think what we really need is a legal system, a legal immigration system that works, and it isn't working right now.
Okay, so there's no doubt it's not working. But what you're saying is we need to just legalize everyone who snuck in. How about you say the United States has a right to say, you know, we've got a lot of low-skilled workers already. Automation is eliminating their jobs. We don't want any more. How about that? And maybe Mexico should stop allowing hundreds of thousands of Central Americans to cross the length, the 2,500 miles of its country into the U.S. Maybe Mexico could help and we wouldn't need a wall. Why is that a crazy idea?
Well, I think there are 2 points right here, Tucker. One has to do with the fact that many undocumented immigrants are here in the United States because of us. They're doing many of the jobs that we don't want to do. So that's 1 point, and that's why I think we have the responsibility to legalize them, 11 million of them. Now, talking about Central Americans crossing from Mexico to the United States, I think finally the United States and Donald Trump, they realized that they need Mexico to control immigration. Maybe this is Mexico's bargaining chip. I think after President Trump said that Mexican immigrants were criminals and rapists, and after threatening to end NAFTA, and after trying to make Mexico pay for the wall, now he has realized that after all the attacks and insults, now he needs Mexico, and that's a reality.
But wait a second. I mean, without illegal aliens in the United States, Mexico would collapse. As I said, remittances are the single largest source of hard currency in Mexico. And so
important.
Can we just be probably not more than fentanyl or cocaine. That's probably number 1, but we don't have the exact numbers on that. But why can't we be honest and say Mexico wouldn't exist without sending its poor here, and we should call on them to do something to control the border, and if they don't, why wouldn't we build a wall? I don't understand. Where's their obligation in this? You don't mention
I wouldn't say Mexico wouldn't exist. As a matter of fact, Mexico existed before the United States. So that's a completely different story. And then remittances are incredibly important to the Mexican economy, but also you have to remember that there are many other resources. Tourism and oil are incredibly important. So
I agree.
It is not that Mexico would not exist. It's not that Mexico wouldn't exist without the United States. That's absolutely false.
No, but because the point, look, and actually this is America's fault, I do think, to a small degree. We spend an awful lot of time trying to improve countries across the globe, but not enough paying attention to Latin America. This is a problem because the Mexican government is dysfunctional and its leaders steal the money and leave and have houses in Switzerland. So why don't you and people like you and me too put pressure on the Mexican government to serve its own people, and then maybe they wouldn't have to send 11 million people here to send money
I do
home.
agree with you. I do agree with you on that. I've been criticizing the Mexican government for corruption more than, and I've said this government with Enrique Peña Nieto, more than 100,000 people would have been killed just in this government. So that's something that we cannot stand. And what I'm noticing right now is by having Donald Trump criticizing Mexico and Mexicans, now it seems that he's helping the most anti-Trump candidate to go ahead in the next elections that we're going to have on July the 1st. Elections that I think you're voting in, by the way, since you're a dual citizen. I am.
But can we disagree on this point? Sure. That a country that exterminated its black population, that is run exclusively by white people, that had a caste system based on blood until pretty recently, probably shouldn't be calling us racist. Can we let's take that out of the equation. This is an economic argument about who benefits from migration. It's not really about race.
I don't think so. No, Tucker. I think we should criticize both countries. If there's discrimination in Mexico, and there's a lot of discrimination, we have to say that. But when we have a president like President Trump, who's made racist statements, who clearly wants to make America white again by bringing.
Come on. This is, look.
When he said when he said that he wants to bring immigrants from Norway and not from Haiti and from Africa, don't you think that's a racist statement from the White House?
Literally,
so
something
we have to
like
criticize that.
85% of our immigrants are non-white. It's not a question of white or non-white. It's a question of whether Mexico gets to use the United States as its welfare system. By the way, there were two black Mexicans just deported from Mexico because they were black to countries they'd never been to. That's what it's like to be African American in Mexico. Good luck with that. So let's just stop with the race stuff. There's a lot of
racism in Mexico. There's a lot of racism in Mexico, but immigration is simply a matter of supply and demand, and we have to understand it's an economic phenomenon.
I agree. I totally agree with that. So let's drop the moral cudgel of race so we can have a rational adult conversation about this rather than muddying it with this college student nonsense about identity politics. That would be my hope. Thank you very much, Jorge. I appreciate your coming on.
Thank you, Tucker.